Alright everybody, welcome to the DashPay channel. We are here at the Dash Convention in Europe 2019. My name is Rod, I'm the host of Dash Brazil. And today with me here I have Ash from Switchly and also from Dash Retail. And Adam from Coin Nerds, both in Canada. So we gotta talk a little bit about the reality of Dash and crypto in general in Canada. And of course, we bore our shades from Joel and Mark Manson, so I'm gonna have to take mine off because I can't see anything. Actually, I don't know how those guys do that, but I need my glasses. So Ash, tell us a little bit, what's the reality of crypto and Dash today in Canada?
Yeah, so coming from the UK, I moved to Vancouver about a year ago now, but the reality is, at least in Vancouver especially, that there is very little access on the ground and spending of cryptocurrency. There are a few little services that will accept it. There's a few that accept Dash, including a data recovery firm and a restaurant, I believe, has an ATM, a Dash ATM just inside of it. But otherwise, it's pretty limited. There are ATMs around. There's a coffee chain called Waves, which is throughout Vancouver, that has quite a few of these ATMs located in it. The prices range around the 5 to 10% spread, so it's quite a very expensive, but really expensive to actually acquire crypto in that sense. But in terms of actually spending it in Vancouver, at least you can't spend it. But that said, there is a lot of passion around cryptocurrency. There are some meetup groups, and there are just a general interest, and people, you can have conversation about it wherever you go, really. People are still curious, and they see the ATMs inside the stores, but there's nowhere to spend it at the moment.
On the opposite side, Adam, in Toronto, what's the reality of Dash and crypto in general?
Well, the reality of Dash is, as mentioned by Ash, is that it's very limited use case. There is really very little stores that accept it. I think there's maybe about 2 that accept Dash natively currently in the Toronto region. Currently, there's been no focus in the Canadian market. We're hoping to raise that awareness and bring that awareness impact down the road for Dash as a mainstream, and hopefully crypto in general, and get that awareness raised.
What about the exchange? What's the amount of exchanges in Canada today? How easy it is to have access to crypto?
I'll leave you to...
Well, if you're in the Toronto region, it's actually pretty accessible. You could actually onboard onto crypto rather quickly. We have our stores, the retail stores, you could come to and buy Bitcoin instantly at coinnerds.ca. There's also Switchly and Skipti. We're launching an online exchange which will have a fiat on-ramp and an off-ramp, which will allow you to instantly convert your fiat into Dash or any other currency that you choose to acquire. There's also the off-ramp, as I mentioned, with the 2 companies that we're hoping to do, and that should, along with our advertising campaigns, we're hoping to make some awareness and bring some...
Yeah, I think one of the things that, for people in the States, that the legislation-wise is on a state-by-state basis, whereas Canada is pretty much ubiquitous across it.
It's a federal law, and that's it.
Quebec has some of its own laws, but in general, there is a federal law. So there's the FinTrack, which is the authority that determines all that side of things, and money transfer laws. But
is the government making it easy, or it's... putting a lot of barriers on it?
The government has actually made it really easy as an introduction to their new law that they've enacted. It's actually going to be enforced as of June 2020. It was enacted this past June, in June 2019, and there's a grace period going on right now for any exchanges and OTC desks to comply by June. The government has put together a very favorable regulatory environment, I should mention, in respect to cryptocurrencies in general and how they're treated and what their classifications are. In general, I would say the environment is becoming very accepting currently. And
positive. It's becoming positive.
It's becoming positive, and hopefully in the near future you will see it expand and grow and mature a lot more rapidly.
I think that the Canadian money helps really well with that, because we have this thing called Interac. In the UK, there's faster payments, which are instant payments that get settled straight away. In Canada, we have what's called Interac, and it means that using just an email address, I can send money to an exchange or to wherever, to any person, and that person will receive that money in a matter of minutes. So it's very easy to send money around the country, which allows for a lot more free movement of people acquiring and exiting crypto. So there's quite a lot of accessibility there, which helps.
On your guys' perspective, both of you guys are part of the Dash community. Strong players in the Dash community. What can we do as a community to increase adoption in Canada? Is there any community being built? Someone present a proposal? to do maybe door-to-door work like they do in Colombia and Venezuela, or focus more on exchange or integrations?
Yes, this conversation was brought up with Fernando earlier. I'm sure you were actually part of that conversation to some degree, and that has been a point that I've made to bring to awareness, is that basically there has been little to no action from the DAO or DCG at all to bring some impact or awareness into the Canadian market. Is my personal opinion I would express, is that DCG and the DAO in general have sort of omitted the Canadian market altogether. There has been little to no funds ever spent in the Canadian market to even make any awareness impact.
Well, what if someone present a proposal, someone from the community present a proposal asking for funds to do the work?
Perhaps.
Do we need something like this?
I'd like to see that, but I think that the reality is Canada's a very big place. There is a lot of open space, and if someone was focused on, let's say, the East Coast or the West Coast, in Vancouver specifically, or in Toronto, Mississauga, that they were creating a small ecosystem that worked and was scaling that, the sort of thing that we have in New Hampshire at the moment, I would really welcome that. I'd like to see something like that. But it just requires someone to step up and do it, really. I think that Canada, it's a hugely popular place for crypto. There is a lot of trading volume. The recent everything that happened with Quadriga, the large exchange. It is a massive opportunity for Dash, and it's a very wealthy country with a lot of money flowing into it from international investors, and a lot of wealth inside the country itself. A lot of modern companies are coming from there. I think it would be, there's a huge opportunity there.
What's your take on the conference here? I mean, the convention.
Amazing.
It was something, a small idea to do the Dashtoberfest that became a convention, and everybody showed up, and we have this live streaming, tons of interviews. So what's with the convention, man? How do you like it so far?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really good. So the thing in our space is we all talk online, we're all having these conversations, we've got these communities and things, but to actually put a face to a name and do some real work on the ground. I've made more connections here in the past 2 days than I have in a month, so it's fantastic, and it's really good to be able to meet with Adam. We've met a few times before, and with yourself, and I think it opens a lot of doors, and to see that people are that passionate, even in a downwards market, everyone's talking about Dash, everyone's really excited for the future. It's a testament to that focus on the fundamentals that Dash has, because those fundamentals are shining through. I'd encourage anyone to watch the live streams that we've set up for all the convention itself. I just think it's been
By
fantastic.
the way, the live stream looks fantastic, thanks to Ash.
No, credit to Rodrigo too. Team effort.
So what's your take on the conference?
The conference is great. The workshops or the co-working that we did earlier on, I think, was really effective, and I think that perhaps there's someone from the community should get up and coordinate these in a regional capacity in every country, so that
should do this every 6 months.
They've set the standard.
Perhaps the international scale, it might be a bit more difficult to do every 6 months, but perhaps if we did a more regional approach, like a Canadian workshop for the Canadians, a US workshop, and in that way the various players in the industries could gather together and network, and perhaps meet and perhaps forge networking relationships that perhaps empower Dash to grow in the Canadian marketplace and other marketplaces.
Very nice. Tell a little bit about Switchly. If anybody wants to know what it is, explain to us.
So Switchly is a cryptocurrency exchange, but it's also a fiat gateway. So it's crypto pairs at the moment. We'll be adding several hundred pairs, because one of the ways that Switchly is different is it's backed by institutional liquidity via third parties, like some of the largest exchanges that we're partnered with. So orders are able to be filled up to the thousands of Dash level with relative ease. We're partnered obviously with Skipti and with CoinNerds over in Toronto, so we're all fully regulated and above board on that. We'll be working with other sort of institutional solutions. So our services can power off ramps for point of sale devices. We can power hardware devices, just all sorts, really. There's a lot going on with Switchly at the moment, but you can go on there right now and do an exchange, or on skipti.ca as our partners.
Yes.
Very nice. On CoinNerd side?
In respect to CoinNerds, if you're interested, it's basically an OTC brokerage with retail storefronts. The idea and the concept behind that is to act more like a traditional bank, in a sense, where an individual user, your grandma, for instance, can walk in and acquire crypto and learn about it at the same time and get hands-on guidance on how to set up a wallet or how to perhaps send a transaction or how to receive a transaction. And that this is very helpful in the onboarding process for users, because users, especially in the older demographics, are able to understand and comprehend on a one-to-one level and are able to familiarize themselves with the technology and move forward with the adoption process, versus where you're left to do it all on your own, in a self-taught environment. It's very difficult for someone in the older demographics to understand it, wrap their heads around it, and actually adopt it on a long-term basis. We've seen recurring customers as a result of our educational outreach in that respect, to be able to teach them how to use a wallet, to set up their, how to properly store their keys, how to use a Trezor, for example, introduce them to a Trezor. A lot of variables like that, and it's become a very great catalyst in acquiring customers, because it allows them to come and learn with ease of use, and it's the barrier to entry is significantly reduced.
Very nice. So everybody, if you're watching on YouTube this, just leave your comments below, ask the questions. They're gonna be checking out the video later and answer everything you need to know. Once again, we are reporting here from the Dash convention in Switzerland. Rod, once again, I'll see you later.